welcome back to another episode of Chatting with Chip with Barton College football head coach Chip Hester. I am Wilson Times sports editor Paul Durham. And Coach, let's get right into it. It's so much more fun to come see you after you guys have won a game, and Saturday's win, that was a big win on the road against a team that was picked to finish right behind you guys in the conference, UVA-Wise. You want to beat those teams, right? You always want to beat those teams that you're expected to beat, at least in the eyes of the other coaches. And a nice win, 40-20. Just take it from there. What did you see that you liked the most about Saturday's win?
Well, I like that our guys didn't panic early, because I don't know that a game could start any worse than it did. We muffed a punt, gave them a short field, they scored a touchdown. We started off our series with some penalties, and so it just did not start well at all. Our guys kind of they kept playing, they kept at it, and I think eventually the tide turned, and we were able to make some big plays and found a way to win. And that's what, especially going on the road. And they're a talented football team. They gave North Alabama all they wanted in the first half. So I thought it was a good team win. Special teams made some really big plays, and defensively created some turnovers again, and then made some adjustments. And I thought our offensive coaches did a nice job, and then our quarterback made some plays with his feet in the second half.
Absolutely, Coach. That is something that we need to talk about right away, because we talked about it right after the game. And, you know, you're going to go into every week, I feel like, this season with every team game planning to stop the run and stop number one. Jordan Terrell was number 2 in Division II last year. He's the guy who's going to carry the ball for you. And a lot of teams focus on that.
Right.
But guess what? You guys have some other weapons, and when you get them loose, like you did with Jaquan Lynch on Saturday, even when the passing's not really clicking. And I don't know that your passing game has clicked the way you want it to because of the interceptions that have been thrown. But, man, that young man can get out and go if somebody doesn't pay him attention.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Paul. You know, there are a couple things you've got to make some adjustments somehow. And so if people are putting 8 in the box, then that's more guys than you can block. And so you've got to do one of two things. You've got to make some plays in the passing game, or you've got to start reading some people. And whether it's, you know, some people do a lot of RPOs. Saturday we did there were some zone reads, is what they're called. And so we were reading the defensive end, and our fullback was arcing around, and our quarterback did a really nice job of reading it correctly. And then when the ball's in his hands, he is, and my description of him is slippery. So he's fast, but he's more slippery than fast. He's hard to tackle. He's got such field savvy, and he made some really huge plays, some scrambles on some of our drop back passes, and so he really competed. And in a day that we weren't completing passes like we wanted to, he found a way to compete and found a way to lead us to a victory.
I think that's what slippery is called, acceleration, because he can accelerate very quickly. And
yes.
I think teams, I mean, we saw that the very first game you put him in, I think, when he saw some action in the spring of 2021, he was hard to catch. And the good thing about that is you don't have to do it every play. He breaks off a 30-yarder, then all of a sudden the defense changes. And that kind of happened, I guess, Saturday.
Yeah, no question. I think you're right. And I think that game, I specifically remember, was against Winkett. So you're going against one of the best teams in the league, and he's making big plays with his feet. So he has a sense. He's got good vision, and he breaks tackles too, which I think is underrated. But I thought he did some really nice things for us, and our guys. They kept finding a way to compete, and it didn't go completely as planned, but that's the way ball games are when you're playing against tough folks. And I was proud of our guys for the way they competed, and we had guys step up in big ways on Saturday.
Yes, sir, you did. And Jordan still found a way to score a 9-yard touchdown, even though the whole team was jumping on him every time. So.
Yeah, no doubt. It's something that we talk about with our guys all the time. Is each game is going to be different. And within a game, you're going to have to find what is your role. And so, on a lot of those quarterback runs, you've got Jordan Terrell that's in pass protection. Well, he's picking up a key block on a linebacker that springs some of those runs. So he's a team player, and he as much as I know he wants to have 100-yard games or 200-yard games, people are going to key on him, and I thought he did a good job of still. I mean, he was grinding it out. He had some really good runs, some tough runs, some key runs on third and shorts and things like that. So we've just got to be a team that does whatever we need to do to find a way to win.
Well, speaking of the team play, I think you mentioned it was a total team win. It really was all across the board, but we got to give some props to your defense. They've been getting it done all season. I thought, we talked, beating Shawan 17-3, that was awesome. This is a really good passing offense, one of the better ones in the league. They're going to get their yards usually. They didn't really get it Saturday, and that, to me, was the big key. Obviously, your offense got going, but, man, you held them to 20 points, and one of them was a throwaway touchdown in the end.
Completely agree with what you're saying. Going into the ball game, we talked about wanting to have a team win. That's what we wanted to do, and when one side of the ball is struggling, the other's got to step up. And I thought our defense stepped up in a big way on Saturday. They've been playing really well this year thus far, and so there's going to be a time where the offense is going to have to come up. And I thought they did in the second half. But yeah, they've played really fast. They've played aggressive. They played with a lot of confidence. And even that last touchdown was against our backups, and not to say that that excuses it, but we really did a nice job. I think Coach Burnett has come up with good game plans, and the whole coaching staff on that side, Coach Brown and Coach Morris, do a good job of putting that in practice and getting our guys prepared. And then we've got guys out there that can make plays. I mean, you talk about J.L. Ledbetter he is a beast. He's a beast. He is a beast. He gets after it. He is everything that you want a defensive line to be. He is aggressive. He is ornery out there, and he plays with reckless abandon. You got Matt Smith running all over the field, playing defensive end, playing linebacker. Shane Perry is hitting people and sending them backwards. And then we've got guys in the secondary that have really stepped up. Kermit Solomon has played really well at corner. I mean, he had a tough assignment. 11 for them is talented, and I think he had one catch, but it was a really good play. But Mike Webb, you keep on talking about those names, and you got a lot of guys that, again, we've talked about how important that team chemistry on defense is, and that enthusiasm, and they've got it. And they've got some confidence, and they've got a little swagger, and so that makes it tough if you're an offensive football team playing against our defense.
Yeah, you can see they've got the experience to play together. They know what each other's going to do. They're an experienced unit, and they're fun to watch. And, the next thing I want to talk to you, Coach, is you've been doing this since last year, your team. You guys make big plays. Y'all are a fun team to watch because there's always going to be a big play. You can do it on defense. Matt Smith with that 88-yard interception return.
Right.
Didn't quite make the end zone. But, hey, that was like we talked against Davidson last week. There was a sequence when you guys, not to bring it up again,
right.
But, that part of the game,
right.
Things changed. This is where that game changed for you guys on Saturday. You get the safety.
Yep, exactly.
Then you get the Jay Johnson punt return, and all of a sudden,
right.
a little bit of breathing room, and things weren't the same after that because they were getting a little tight. I know you draw up those big plays every Friday night and send them out there to execute, but no, seriously, it's got to be great when you got playmakers, and it's a matter of time for one of those guys is going to find a way to do something big.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want your guys that are playmakers to step up in big situations and make plays. They always say there's a saying in coaching, think players, not plays necessarily. And so I think that's something that as coaches we try to put into practice, and that means, and basically what that means is don't try to do too much. Don't try to overcoach and have just the perfect call or whatever the case may be. Put your playmakers in a position to make plays, and I thought, defensively it's a little bit different there, but to come up with that sack and the safety is a huge momentum, and then they kick it right back to you, and Jay takes it to the house, and that doesn't happen if you don't have guys blocking. So I thought our kickoff return team did a really good job. I think our punt return team did a really good job. Punt team did a good job. So it's a team effort, but boy, we've got some guys that can make plays and that are not afraid in that moment to make that play. And sometimes guys can get a little tight, but right now we've got guys that come and they come to play and they want that opportunity, and so it's exciting. And yeah, we are a team. You don't want to stand in line too long for popcorn or anything, because there's something that pretty explosive might happen at any time.
Yeah, I've learned that quickly. Well, Coach, lots of good things happened on Saturday. You got a big win. Obviously, though, you're a coach, not everything good that happens in the game. And I feel like we need to visit this a little bit, and I don't even know what the answer is. Last year, you guys did a great job of protecting the football and taking it away. You're doing a great job of taking it away. You guys have managed to survive a lot of turnovers so far. I think you have 9. You had 10 all of last year. $1 million question, Coach. As a coach, I know there's no answer, but what do? How do you got to address it somehow other than, hey, hold on to the ball, stop throwing interceptions.
Right.
What do you do at this point? Because it is a little bit of a problem.
It is a problem. It is a problem, and you know from our conversations that it's something that it's a huge tenet in what we feel like is going to win ball games for you, and so we've got to do a better job. It is never one person, so usually a quarterback gets too much blame and or it gets too much credit, but and that's kind of the case. I think the challenge as a coach is we want to work on it, we want to coach it correctly, but we don't want to just completely focus on it and then you start thinking about it more. And so that's the challenge as a coach is, how can we get better at something without over coaching, and then you got guys being tight and you want them to play and you want to be aggressive and things like that. So it's a challenge, and we've got to, as coaches, continue to find ways to get our guys going and still value the football. And so it's an ongoing problem, but you're right. If we keep doing what we're doing and turn the ball over, it'll bite us. And so that we know that for sure. So we've got to do a good job of doing better without losing our aggressiveness.
Well, you got a big game this Saturday, your first home game. You get to do the Bulldog Walk. You get to be at Truist Stadium, and you get a really tough Mars Hill team coming in. You guys, that was a game I think last year, one of those games you could have won. Things went your way. It didn't go your way up north of Asheville last fall. Mars Hill's coming in, and I think they've got some ambition this year. How big is this game? I mean, I know you're gonna. It's the next one on the test, but at least in terms of beating the team that beat you last year, that's always probably got a little bit more of a circle on the calendar, the schedule.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this team coming in? What do you guys have to do?
Yeah, I completely agree with you in that Mars Hill's a good football team. They are a good football team. As a matter of fact, they're a contending football team. And so if you're gonna be in this conference, this is one of those games. They do a good job offensively. They're balanced. They throw the ball well. They run the ball well. They've got a good quarterback, good running back. On defense, they've got experience. They've got everything, linebackers.
They sound like Barton.
Yeah, look, a lot of similarities in how we go about what we're doing. So this is going to be a challenge. There's no doubt, but it's something we talk about on a weekly basis. That in this league, every week it's going to be a battle, and I truly think the same thing this week. They look very good on film. They played Catawba and really dominated that game this past week. So they've got some confidence going as well. And they've got experience, not only on their team, but in their coaching staff. They've got guys that have been around. They know what they're doing. And as in our coaches meeting this morning, we talked about it. As you turn on the film, their coaches know exactly what they're doing. They're good at what they do. And it's going to be a challenge for our guys. And I'm excited because I think our guys are happy to be at home. They're going to hopefully feed off the energy of our fans and being at our home turf, and so I'm excited to see how we respond. It'll it'll be a great challenge for us.
Well, after 3 straight games on the road, you guys have got to be super psyched to be back here at Truist. The weather's going to be great. Everything's lining up for a perfect Saturday of football. So hopefully you guys can end it up with another victory. That'd be a big one for you guys. But like we said, they're all big from now on.
Absolutely.
You're all playing the South Atlantic teams for the rest of the time, unless you make the playoffs, which hopefully you will. So again, we'll be back next week to talk about Mars Hill. So please come in and check us out on Chatting with Chip. We'll see you then.